made the film on a big scale, and when you do that, you are hoping, you know, that you are going to connect with a wide audience. And my fear with the film was always that it would be misinterpreted as being overly cerebral or puzzle-like. I did always intend for the film to try and give a mass audience a really entertaining experience, and so I'm delighted that that's the way it's happened, and it's you know, traveled far beyond our original hopes for the project, which is delightful.
My second question regards what I believe is going to be your next film, Batman 3. I think Warner Brothers, I've read that Warner Brothers has set a release date for the film, but I don't know whether the film has actually been officially greenlit, which is kind of a paradox. I was wondering whether the screenplay for the film had been completed, and whether perhaps there were any of the casting elements in place. And if you could just give us a little update on it in general.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like to talk too much about things, and you know, until I'm further along with them. But I'm working on the script right now. My brother Jonah has done a draft of the script, and now I'm writing on it. We have set a release date, and you know, as far as the film being officially greenlit, they haven't told me they don't want to do it, so I'm hopeful.
Prego. Mi ha dato l'idea questo film di essere un po' una sorta di videogame, di avere un po' la struttura del videogame, però ha preso anche da molte altre cose. Quindi vorrei sapere le sue fonti di ispirazione a livello cinema e artistico, e poi se DiCaprio è entrato subito nel progetto e se è stato, o se è entrato dopo, quando ha pensato a DiCaprio effettivamente. Grazie.
I've been working on the script of Inception for about 10 years. It's taken me quite a long time to write. The chief inspirations behind the script, some of them were literary, very much, you know, the work of Borges, the Argentinian writer, various others. In cinematic terms, I've always been a huge fan of the films of Ridley Scott and Stanley Kubrick, things like 2001, I think you could see in the film, and Blade Runner. But the script was, I started to write it very much, I think, in reaction to a sort of movement in films that happened right before the turn of the millennium, which was films like The Matrix and Dark City, The 13th Floor, and to a certain extent my own film, Memento. These were all films questioning the nature of reality, how we know the world around us is real, and what would it be like to realize that would not the case. I think Inception was born of a desire on my part to try and invert that question and invite the audience into that question in a different way, and say, what if we could construct an alternate reality for another person? When I started to write the structure of the game, these levels of dreams, dreams within dreams, I think it was a more alien concept for an audience at the time. I think over the 10 years I was writing the script, things like, well, the development of video games certainly, but also things as simple as, you know, the iPod and the menus on the iPod and the sub-menus and the way the architecture of our interface with that kind of technology works, I think bears a very strong similarity to the conceptual structure of the film now. So hopefully that's one of the things that's allowed audiences to engage more simply with a quite complicated architecture to the film.
Abbastanza, e lo trovo molto raffinato, però vorrei chiedere, Mr. Nolan, negli ultimi anni il cinema blockbuster americano sembra che non riesca, non voglia o non possa rinunciare a scene di combattimento. Mi viene in mente Robin Hood, il cui finale sembra lo sbarco in Normandia, mi viene in mente Avatar, che per 2/3 del film è un film meraviglioso, però trovo superfluo dover ricorrere a un quarto di film per affermare il pacifismo insito nel film. Le chiedo, alcune scene del suo film sono davvero funzionali alla narrazione, o perché lo sono, in che maniera lo sono? Grazie.
I think for me, because I make blockbusters with action scenes in them. I certainly enjoy portraying action. It's a very pure kinetic form of cinema, very visual, and it employs, you know, sound and editing and photography in the most extreme way. So for a filmmaker, it's certainly an attractive proposition. But I think I'm always looking for ways in the storytelling to make that action inextricably linked with the storytelling, so that there is some purpose to every action element in the film. We try to do that in a plot sense and a character sense with the Batman films, with The Dark Knight, for example, and it's something we struggle with. In Inception, I actually found it easier, because one of the big challenges for the film is to explain the world to the audience and the rules of the world. And one of the clearest ways to do that is through action, through the physicality of it, because it's the physical rules of the world altering and being manipulated that I think best express the ideas of the world and the conceptual ideas of the story to the audience. And so I like to think that in Inception, all of the, you know, the sound and fury, all of the action actually does help the audience understand the geography of the world and the rules of the world, so that when we get to the very end of the film, they have a very clear grasp of the stakes, and they've become immersed in the world the same way that the characters have. But certainly that's always a responsibility you feel as a filmmaker, is to try and have meaning to the crescendos of the film. And if you think of a film in musical terms, this kind of filmmaking does demand these crescendos, these sort of action pieces. I think where they can be essential to the story, or where they can be essential to your understanding of what the characters are going through in the world they're in, then that's the strongest form of it, and I think it makes the action more exciting.